Hey guys, go ahead and add goal 2.1 notes to your table of contents and follow along in your notebooks. 2.1 reads, I can classify a substance as either an element, compound, or mixture and explain my reasoning. So what we're going to learn here is how to take a given substance and say whether that substance is considered an element, a compound, or a mixture. And you should be able to know why you're classifying it as one of those three things. So elements, our first term here, we know what elements are. Anything from the periodic table is an element, and we can define the term element as a substance that contains only one type of atom. Remember that each element, each square on the periodic table, is a different type of atom. So element, substance that contains only one type of atom. We could zoom in on the atoms of a chunk of an element like copper or aluminum. All we would see is atoms of that element. Compounds are when we take two or more elements, so two or more different types of atoms, and we chemically bond them together. So they are chemically combined. Compounds cannot be separated by physical means. What that means is that we can't take the atoms of a compound and physically pull them apart from each other. They are stuck together chemically. The only way to separate a compound is to have that compound participate in some sort of chemical reaction. And a chemical reaction is when we either break bonds, form new bonds, or a combination of both of those processes. You know that something is a compound if it contains the names of two or more different types of elements. So something like carbon dioxide indicates, the name indicates that it's made from carbon and oxygen. Those are two different elements. Also, the way that you can know this is if it has a formula. A formula is kind of like a symbol, but it's multiple symbols from all of the elements in the compound combined into one thing. So we call that a formula. So carbon dioxide has the formula CO2, indicating that it is made up of one carbon atom bonded to two oxygen atoms. It's kind of like H2O. You guys all know that. Water is chemically called H2O. That's because it is a compound made up of two hydrogen atoms bonded to one oxygen atom, forming a molecule of water. The last classification is mixtures. A mixture is a substance composed of two or more substances that are not chemically bonded to each other. So each of those substances individually might be chemically bonded to its own components. Take, for instance, something like coffee. It's made up of lots and lots of different things. Most notably, I'm sure you know that coffee has caffeine in it. And you also probably know that coffee, you need water to produce coffee. So those are two different chemical compounds, H2O and then caffeine. Each of those has chemical bonds that hold it together, but those two things are not chemically bonded to each other in the coffee. So that's what we mean by two or more substances not chemically bonded to each other. For that reason, the components of mixtures can be separated physically. There are lots of different methods of separating mixtures. Just to name a few: evaporation, distillation, liquation, filtration, magnetism, chromatography. The list goes on and on. We'll learn a little bit more specifically about some of those methods in class. For now, all you need to know is that they can be separated by physical means. Other things. So there are other things in the world, but all matter, anything that we consider to be matter, is classified as an element, a compound, or a mixture. Sometimes we can even have things that are mixtures of mixtures. But there are things that don't fall under one of these categories, and if that is the case, it's most likely a form of energy, like fire. Fire is not physically matter, it's just light and heat that's being given off by a reaction, so we can't classify it as an element, a compound, or a mixture. It would be a form of energy.